Halo guys, kembali lagi bersama saya, berusaha memberikan informasi terakhir terbaru.
Sanctions from the West are already having a major impact on Russia's economy. The Russian ruble plummeted
Rusia
against
dan
the dollar
Ukraina.
today, dropping 30%
Saat
after
ini
the
waktu
US and allies blocked
saya
some
pukul
Russian banks
11
from
malam
using the SWIFT
waktu Indonesia
international
bagian
payment
timur.
system. ABC News foreign correspondent James Longman is live in Moscow with more on this. James, what kind of an impact is Russia
Ini situasi
seeing
yang
so
terakhir,
far, and what's the
situasi
latest
terakhir.
response from the Kremlin?
Keadaan di Ukraina atas penyerangan Rusia. Berdasarkan ABC News,
these sanctions, it's obviously hit the ruble extensively, so people are worried about their incomes. People at this time of day are actually technically earning a lot less, 20-30% less than they were when they woke up this morning. That's how badly the economy has been hit here. They are saying that people's mortgages are going to be protected, so that's one thing that people.
Untuk saat ini sudah 352 warga Ukraina yang meninggal dan ada ribuan, 1.000 lebih yang terluka. Dan saat ini Rusia sementara ditekan untuk ekonomi sebagai sanksi atas invasi Rusia terhadap Ukraina. Berdampak pada ekonomi Rusia, mata uangnya berdampak. Ekonominya terpukul, merupakan salah satu sanksi yang harus diterima oleh Rusia. People actually were panic buying things like televisions and laptops and smartphones because they hold their value, and in fact they rocket in value during these sorts of situations. Back in 2014, that's what people did when Russia was last sanctioned in this way, although not as seriously when it invaded Crimea. There was a number of sanctions put on this country, and people went out and bought televisions because they knew that their value would increase over time. That's what people have been doing this time, and as a result, retailers have put a limit on that. So signs of shock, but not panic, I would say. Dan?
And what about the Russian people, James? How are they reacting?
It's kind of strange, Diane. It's kind of almost with indifference. People here in Moscow, they obviously know something is deeply wrong. I mean, there's an enormous police presence. There's a police presence here anyway, but the kind of number of riot police you see around the place, the armored vehicles moving around, sirens, the number of barricades around the Kremlin, there's a sense that something is up. But Muscovites have kind of put their head in the sand a little bit, a lot of them, and just don't really want to think about how scary this situation is. And one probably, you sort of sympathize with that to a certain extent. In a funny way, Vladimir Putin has spent the last 20 years scaring all of us, but he spent this week scaring his own people. And I think a lot of people are asking themselves, has Vladimir Putin really changed in a real way to a point where he might now not be the predictable leader we thought he was? We all think of him as this kind of very rational statesman who has thought about every move he's going to make. But if he is going to unleash hell on Ukraine, if he's really talking about nuclear deterrence being put on high alert, people in Russia are kind of thinking, hang on a minute.
Saat ini timbul pertanyaan.
So it's a very difficult tone to read, and of course
apa reaksi dari warga Rusia terhadap penyerangan atau keputusan presiden mereka invasi terhadap Ukraina. Mereka tidak bisa berbuat apa-apa sebagai warga negara, ya harus patuh.
And let's bring in the former Ukrainian ambassador to Austria, Alexander Sherba, for more on this.
Mengikuti
Alexander,
apa
thank you for
keputusan
being here. What do you make of these sanctions levied against Russia so far and the impact they're having?
Well, an atrocity is happening right now. I think that what we thought was unthinkable in the 21st century. Free democratic nation is being attacked for just being to be free and democratic, and everybody is doing its job. Ukraine is defending